So a lot of you know, my sister works for me, my sister Rose. My sister Sophia just started working for me almost full time as well. My brother Greg did some of the automations on the new website that my dad built. So I obviously work really, really well with family. And I get asked that, like, how do you work? Because Rose and I work, like, we're up each other's butts every day. We work so much together. And I get asked, like, okay, how do you work so well together? Like, what do you do to make it so fun? It looks so amazing. Do you not have any drama? Do you not have any fights? Like, what's going on behind the scenes with working with family? And the honest answer is, like, Rose and I do not fight at all. We get along so well together. And my advice for those of you who want to work with your family is don't. Even though Rose and I work together, I think that we are the exception that proves the rule. For every rule, which is a good rule, there's always that one group or that one person that disproves it. And I think Rose and I are that for the don't work with your family rule. We thrive together. Here's how we thrive. I wrote down, like, what we did well. We wrote the section together. Rose and I wrote the section together. So we thrive well together, Rose and I, and then, like, by extension, everyone who works for me and my family. Because Rose never puts me in the position of having to be a boss. That's the first thing, is, like, you have to know that family member well. Are they going to be professional? Are they going to put you in a position where you have to be the boss? Rose has never once in the 5 years of working for me ever put me in the position of having to be like, come to work on time. Don't, like, she's always been a consummate professional. She's never put me in the position of having to be a boss, like a manager. And that's the biggest reason why this works. Because the person you're bringing on, the family member you're bringing on, actually sets the tone for how the working relationship is going to go. You really can't set the tone for how the relationship is going to go. The other person does. That's what I've learned. Because the minute you set the tone for it, you put your boss hat on and it becomes really uncomfortable. So the person you're bringing on, the family member that you're bringing on, believe it or not, is going to set about 90% of the tone. If Rose didn't show up for work, if Rose, didn't get stuff done on time, if Rose didn't do her job, I would be in the most awkward position in the world. She has never once in 5 years put me in that position. And then I asked her, do I do anything well, right? So I'm like, okay, that's what you do for me, Rose. You never put me in the position of having me a boss. She says, I was like, do I do anything that helps? And she says, I don't micromanage her. Oh, you don't micromanage me, which gives me a lot of space and freedom. Maria, you rarely do check-ins with me. You just trust me to run my department, and I do. And that's true. So I really don't do check-ins with Rose. I don't do, I'll be like, how are the ads going? And she'll be like, great, they're scaling. And I'm like, amazing. Because she's working for her Range Rover right now. So if she gets $10,000 in ad spend, I'm going to buy her per day. So if she gets the ads up to the point, we're spending about $6,000 a day in ads now. We were just talking about this with some of the inner circle people because we're all scaling their ads up and they're doing phenomenal. And so I was telling the inner circle girls, I was like, when we get this up to, because we're at $6,000 a day in ad spend, when we get to $10,000 a day in ad spend, I'm going to buy her a Range Rover. So all of that to say, my check-ins with Rose are at most, how are the ads doing? Great, we're scaling, and I carry on. She could be watching Netflix 8 hours a day, and I genuinely would have no idea. I would have no idea. I don't log in, I don't check, I do not micromanage. I am not a micromanager at all. And I think that helps. It gives her the space to then figure out how to do hard things. I set goals for her. I'm like, hey, I really believe you can hit $10,000 a day in ad spend. And she really wasn't sure how in the world she was going to do that. Because when I set that goal for her, we were spending, I think it was about $2,000 a day in ad spend. And I'm like, I want you to 5X that. And I want you to be spending $10,000 a day on ad spend. And if you do, I will buy you a Range Rover. And apparently my sister Sophia just told me, because she just started, she told me that Rose says, because Sophia is a media buyer as well. So Sophia is now working as Rose's assistant. And apparently Rose told Sophia that when Rose gets her Range Rover, Sophia's getting a designer purse. So it's this trickle down bonus effect where Rose is buying, I'm getting Rose something and then Rose is getting Sophia something. So I thought that was hilarious. But in general, that's one of the big things is that dynamic where 90% of the dynamic is set by the family member you're hiring. You have no control over that. And then your 10% is not micromanaging that family member once you do decide to bring them on. The two other things that we said that we wrote together about working with family is, so when we started working together at the beginning of 2020, I think it was like middle of 2020, August of 2020. We had a very important conversation before we started working together. This was probably one of the more important conversations of my life. I distinctly remember it. We laid out all the concerns we had. So I laid out my concerns about her working for me. She laid out her concerns about working for me, and we just talked it through. It was like several hour long conversation. We brought our significant others at the time into it. And we all just talked about it because we really value our relationship and we really value our friendship. And we wanted to like be mindful of that. We wanted to be super intentional because we were very concerned that we're like sisters. Like we literally are sisters, and our friendship is very like sister friendship. We're so close, and we have always been so close, and we would never risk that for anything. If I had to choose between my relationship with Rose and the whole, knock on wood, I don't want to, and the whole business burning to the ground, I would set the business on fire myself. That's how close we are. Like that's one of the most important relationships in my life. And so any growth in the business was not worth jeopardizing our relationship. And so we were super honest with each other, and we had a really difficult conversation where we just talked about some of the differences in our personalities, some of the things that might like rub us the wrong way. And we got it all out, and we had a very long conversation. And we set up like, okay, if you do this, I'm going to do this. Like we just talked it through. Like, what do we do if this happens? And you know, what's so funny is like, I don't remember a single thing we were worried about. I don't remember a single thing I was concerned about. I don't remember a single thing she brought up. I don't remember anything. It didn't even matter what the content of the conversation was about. I guess it was just the fact that we had that conversation. And then finally, the most important thing that Rose said is you need to have some self-awareness about who you are as people. So the family you're hiring, are you compatible on a personal level? Like in your actual family relationship now, are you compatible people? Meaning, do you ever fight? Have you ever gotten into a fight with your sister or your brother or whoever you're considering hiring? Rose and I literally never fight about anything. From the time we were like 12 on, we never had one fight. We just get along. It's not like either one of us is like secretly shoving down how we feel. We just have such similar brains and think so similarly and see the world so similarly and like the same things so similarly. We could literally be twins, and that creates insane compatibility. So it's not like we don't fight in the relationship because one of us isn't communicating. We literally just never disagree. And sometimes that's the danger in the business, because we could have a stupid idea and be like, she'll be like, that's a great idea. I'm like, I think it's a great idea too. And we both like Tweedledee and Tweedledum our way into some stupid ideas. That's literally happened several times. So if anything, we have the opposite problem, but we're super compatible. We never fight about anything. And if you frequently, this is what Rose said, if you frequently butt heads about other things, like in your personal relationship, the business side, bringing that into the business side of things would be a disaster. And I completely agree. And I think that's the biggest reason that conversation, and then the fact that Rose and I we are super compatible people, is why we work so well together. Because I have some family members where I have disagreed with them on pretty major things, and they help me with smaller projects here and there. And I'm always like, thank God this project is over. That's the difference, is that long-term relationship I felt very good about it, because we had a very long history of never butting heads. So whether or not you should work with family can be answered in as simple as like, do we get along in our personal life now? Have we ever had really big fights before? If so, I would not bring them in. Even if you had like one or two big fights, especially like post-adult life, I would not do that. Why? Why would you bring that drama and chaos into your life? It's not worth it. That's my thoughts. So that's why I say I do it, we thrive, but I think we're the exception that proves the rule, because I think it's really unusual that we get along as well as we do, and that's why we work so well together. That's what I think.